You mentioned the ducts. I mean, not only is it the 1970s windows, it's the 1970s ducts that are going in. And
Oh
there's a
yeah.
lot of cause and effect relationship, I think, that people don't consider when you put a piece of equipment in that now is designed to run nonstop versus a piece of equipment that was single stage, would run, cool, or heat the building up and then shut down. And a lot of times we're not considering what's happening in the meantime if we leave that old duct system on there. Older blowers, old PSC, permanent split capacitor blowers, responded totally different to bad duct work than an ECM blower. And the other thing is it responds totally different to duct leakage. So you may go, why didn't I have these humidity problems before? Well, the new equipment's junk. Well, no, it's not. It's just it's operating completely different, and everything it's connected to is operating completely different. When the manufacturers rate the equipment in the lab, it's in a perfect environment. And then once you take that piece of equipment out and you hook it up in a duct system in a crawl space or an attic on an old home or a new home, any home, you've changed every variable that equipment was ever rated under. So unless you account for that, it's a mixed bag of what you're going to get.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of not just ultra high efficiency, but even the ones that 10, 20 years ago that were 15 SEER, right? Got to the high efficiency back then. You had variable speed blowers. And that's when I learned that variable speed blowers are really good against static pressure, but they start eating more and more energy as they go higher and higher. And it's a significant amount. Like you start out, maybe it's 200, 250 watts where it's supposed to be, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5 max. But when you get close to 1, all of a sudden it's 600, 700 watts of electricity. And that SEER is like, we're like diving, but they don't know that.
Right. Well, the amount of heat generated in the components of that, because those watts are generating heat at the same time. And you wonder why are these motors, why are the electrical components, why is the end bell going bad? The motors are ball bearing motors. They're pretty resilient motors. It takes a lot to kill them. But the electronics are a lot more susceptible to heat. So essentially you're cooking them with high static pressure. And then the other thing is you've got high return static. You've got condensate, if it's a draw through coil, that could get inside the electronics as well. I mean, you could look for water staining on the blower housing as a real quick visual clue that you've got excessive phase velocity across that coil pulling condensate off.
Yep. You may find it in the supply ducts.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've seen that before.
Yes. You'll see garbage growing on the electric heat strips. If it's an air handler, there's all kinds of stuff that you'll see.
Oh, yeah. And then winter comes around and those suckers kick on, and it is quite the show of smell and smoke.
Of smell.
Yeah, that's one thing that I saw was that the water was killing the end bells of the unit.
Yeah. Well, then the manufacturers decided to put a drip loop in. Let's fix that.
Yeah. And some of them would encase all the electronics in like this, I don't know if it's rubber, it's something, silicone rubber, something like that. They encase them in there to protect it from that because they would just die all the time. And I didn't think about the heat either. The heat, if you go to like a manual in calculation, the heat that the components produce is factored into the calculation or industrial size stuff.
Right.
But it does start producing 300-400 watts of heat. That's a lot of heat because not all of it's going to be heat. But I mean, if 20% of it becomes heat, that's still significant. That's like leaving a couple old school light bulbs on all the time.
Right. Well, and then, you think about it too. Once the component's off, if it's moving air across of it. Once it shuts off, you've got that thermal lag. So those components are going to stay warm.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes people leave them suckers running all the time. So, it may go down to like a, low G speed or something like that and come back up.